Proxima Station never slept. The underground casino throbbed like a heart. Lights blinked. Smoke curled. Dozens of species gambled and lied. Laughter rose and fell like the tide. Cade Harlow sat at a hex table made of dark crystal. He looked like a man built from engine parts, broad shoulders, oil under his nails, a calm stare that never blinked. He wore a scuffed flight jacket and carried himself like someone who had seen too much and said too little. Across from him lounged Myrdan of the Cerulean Lanes. Tall, blue skin, a robe that flowed like liquid coin. His long fingers tapped the table with the soft confidence of a merchant who had never known hunger. He smiled with perfect teeth. "Your move, human," Myrdan sang. His eyes blinked in an elegant rhythm. "I played this game before your people touched the stars." Cade did not rise to the bait. The cards in his hand felt strange but familiar. The rules were not poker, not exactly, yet close enough that instinct could still haunt. He pushed a neat stack of credit slivers forward. Call. And a raise. The other players had folded. A glass-bodied crystal thing rolled away. A four-armed bruiser grumbled and left. The air grew tight. Only Cade and Myrdan remained, two planets locked in a slow pull. Meridan's smile brightened. He lifted his chin toward the shadows at his right. A young cerulean woman stepped into the glow. She stood tall and still, hands gently clasped. Her skin was a lighter blue than his. Her hair, long and soft, fell like water. Her eyes were large and expressive. Their careful blink gave away nerves. "My daughter, Raya," Myrdan said. "Educated. Fluent in many tongues. Pilot rated on most civilian craft. I at her service for 1 year." The room cooled. A few watchers gasped. Cade's throat tightened. He had heard of service contracts. Legal in some sectors. Abused in many. He met Raya's eyes. In them flickered shame and pride and something else he could not name. "That's a poor joke," Cade said. "No joke," Myrdan replied. A flourish. To sweeten the game. Two armored station guards drifted closer, casual but ready. On Proxima, contracts were not suggestions. They were iron. Cade could walk. He could fold. He could leave this bright pit and never look back. But he saw a flash across Raya's face. A quick spark, almost like hope. It was gone at once, but it had been there. "Fine," Cade said. His voice felt heavy. "I accept." The last round began. Cards slid. Breath slowed. Myrdan laughed softly and revealed a rare shape. "Stellar Array," he said, triumphant. "You cannot beat it." Cade laid his hand down without a word. A stronger pattern. A winning one. The table fell silent all at once, as if a switch had flipped. Myrdan stared. First at the cards, then at Raya, then back to the cards. His smile cracked. "Impossible." The nearest guard checked the display and nodded. "Valid. Wager stands. Transfer the contract." Cade rose. He felt taller than the room. "I'll take credits instead." "Rules are rules," the guard said. "The win must be accepted as offered, or the market code is broken." Meridan's lips trembled. "Please. Another payment. Anything." Raya placed a steady hand on her father's arm. "It is done," she said in a voice like soft glass. 1 year. I will return." The guards pinged Cade's wrist chip. The contract blinked into his account like a brand. A few onlookers clapped, the cruel kind of applause that belongs to crowds in cages. They left together through a neon corridor. The casino noise faded to a dull hum. Cade walked in silence until the hum died too. Then he stopped. "I don't keep people," he said. "As soon as we clear this station, I tear that file. You go where you wish." Raya's eyes widened, then narrowed with thought. "You cannot," she said. "If the contract ends now, my father pays a penalty he cannot bear. He will lose his license. He will lose everything." Cade swore under his breath. The station always found a way to be cruel and clean at the same time. "What do you need?" he asked. "Time," she said. "And a lawful path. Honor the paper for now. We will find a way to dissolve it without destroying him." Cade nodded once. "Then come aboard. My ship is small. You get the cabin." "That is not our custom," she replied gently. "It is mine." The Maverick waited in a quiet bay, a compact freighter with a scarred nose and a proud hum. The ramp lowered with a tired groan. Inside, the cockpit was cramped, the hold was smaller, and everything smelled like coffee and old metal. Raya looked around with open curiosity. "It is cozy. That's one word." He tried to smile and almost succeeded. "Watch your step." Loose panel on the left. She moved with graceful care. Their shoulders brushed as he showed the galley, the wash nook, the emergency locker. Each touch sent a small jolt through him, like static from wool. When the ship sealed, Cade took the pilot's seat. The stars beyond the glass felt close and sharp. He glanced at Raya. She sat beside him in silence, hands folded, eyes on the dark. New Terra first, he said. Friends there. Maybe help. Thank you, she whispered. Engines woke. The Maverick slipped free of Proxima Station and slid toward the jump lane. Behind them, the casino beat on. Ahead, something new opened. Danger, debt, and choices neither of them had planned to make. Cade kept his gaze forward. He told himself this was duty. He told himself many things. But the truth moved under his ribs like a small, bright star. This was the turn. This was the moment where a simple game stopped being simple. And nothing that followed would be small. The Maverick drifted through the endless black, its hull humming like a tired heart. Cade Harlow sat at the controls, eyes half focused on the star map, half on the silent figure beside him. Raya hadn't spoken since they'd left Proxima Station. She sat with perfect posture, her long blue fingers resting in her lap, eyes fixed on the void ahead. Finally, Cade broke the silence. You always this quiet, or is it my charm that scares you? Raya's lips twitched, almost a smile. Humans talk too much when they are uneasy. Maybe. Or maybe I just like answers. She looked at him then, her gaze sharp and calm. My father's debt is greater than you imagine. He owes to the Vex Consortium. They are not forgiving. Cade's jaw tightened. The name alone brought bad memories, smugglers, assassins, and slavers hidden behind corporate smiles. And now they'll think I'm part of it, he said grimly. Yes, Raya replied. You accepted the contract. To them, that means you accepted his place in every sense. Cade leaned back, exhaling through his teeth. Great. I win one stupid game, and now I'm the galaxy's newest target. She turned away, guilt flickering across her face. You could have refused. Could I? On Proxima, refusing a legal contract gets you spaced without a trial. He rubbed the back of his neck. Don't worry, I'll handle it. I've been in worse situations. Have you? She asked softly. Cade didn't answer. Instead, he flicked a switch, and the ship's engines pulsed, diving toward the hyperlane corridor. Blue light flared across their faces. For a while, they just listened to the hum of the reactor and the faint whisper of recycled air. Then Raya spoke again, her voice low. My father wasn't gambling only for pleasure. He needed money, for me. Cade looked at her. For you? She nodded. I have a condition. Our kind call it the cerulean fade. It weakens the body over time. There are treatments, but they are expensive and rare. My father ruined himself trying to buy them. Cade's anger softened. So he risked you to save you. Exactly, she said, voice trembling. He thought he'd win. He always thinks he'll win. Cade stared at the console lights. He'd seen men like that before, gamblers chasing hope through fire. You should have told me earlier. You didn't ask, she replied quietly. Silence returned. Outside the viewport, the stars streaked by like silver rain. Later, in the galley, Cade reheated a pack of synth food. Not much of a chef, he muttered, placing a bowl in front of her. Raya sniffed cautiously, then tasted. Her eyes widened. It's edible. Cade laughed. High praise coming from a princess. I am no princess, she said, but her tone was lighter. Ceruleans don't use such titles. But I did study at the academy before. She stopped, her eyes dimming. Before the fade? Cade asked. Yes, she whispered. I had plans once, to explore trade routes, to learn the human tongue, to see your worlds. But sickness has a way of stealing futures. Cade leaned forward. Then let's steal it back. She blinked, puzzled. How? I have contacts in the Human Alliance, he said. They owe me a few favors. Maybe they can help with treatment. Her expression softened, almost fragile. You would do that? For me? Let's just say I don't like debts. And your father's mess dragged me into one. For the first time, she smiled fully. It transformed her face, less alien, more alive. You are strange, Cade Harlow. Get in line, he said, grinning. But even as he joked, the ship's console beeped a warning. An incoming transmission, encrypted, Alliance frequency. Cade's grin faded. Well, speak of the devils. He tapped the screen. The face that appeared was hard and gray-haired, Commander Ross. Harlow, you're in deep trouble again. Cade sighed. You keeping score, sir? Ross ignored the quip. Word is, you won a cerulean in a high-stakes game. That true? Cade scowled. Don't make it sound like that. It's complicated. Ross' gaze shifted to Raya, studying her like a specimen. I'm sure it is. The consortium's moving. You and your companion are now on their debt list. 200,000 credits bounty. Raya gasped softly. Ross continued. Meet me at New Terra. The Alliance might have use for you, and in return, protection for her. The transmission cut. Cade sat back, muttering. Every time I try to help someone, the universe raises the stakes. Raya's voice was quiet but steady. Then we go to New Terra? He met her eyes. Yeah, but after that, we find a way to end this. No more bets. No more chains. Outside, stars burned cold and patient. The Maverick turned its nose toward New Terra and vanished into the blue light of hyperspace. Two lives knotted by chance, heading straight into danger neither yet understood. The Maverick streaked through the dark silence of space, its engines whispering against the void. For 2 days, the stars blurred into white lines, and yet Cade Harlow could not shake the feeling that something followed them. Every scan came up clean, but instinct, the kind that kept a man alive, whispered otherwise. Raya sat in the co-pilot seat, quietly reviewing trade maps on the holo display. The soft blue glow painted her face in silver light. You keep looking over your shoulder, she said without turning. Because something's there, Cade muttered. You ever get that itch between your shoulders? The one that says someone's hunting you. I rely on sensors, she replied calmly. Humans rely on feelings. It's inefficient. Cade chuckled. Maybe, but my feelings kept me alive longer than most pilots I knew. He was about to speak again when the console screamed, a sharp, metallic alert. 3 red signatures flared behind them. Consortium hunters. Fast. Armed. Guess my feelings win this round, Cade said, hands already moving across the controls. Raya's tone remained steady, though her eyes sharpened. We are outgunned, not outflown. He slammed the throttle forward. The Maverick surged. The ship's old hull rattled, protesting. Laser tracers burned through the dark, missing by meters. Cade dove toward a cluster of asteroids spinning silently in the black. Heading into rocks. Raya asked, voice tight. Rocks don't shoot back. The Maverick plunged into the field. Giant stones tumbled, colliding in slow motion. Cade's eyes flicked between the radar and the view outside. He weaved through narrow gaps that should have been impossible. The ship skimmed a spinning slab of iron so close that fragments scraped their shields. The consortium ships followed, but their heavy armor made them clumsy. 2 collided in a shower of debris. The third stayed on them, firing relentlessly. The Maverick's shields dropped to 60%. Any bright ideas? Cade shouted over the alarms. Raya's hands danced across the console. There is an electromagnetic pocket ahead. Radiation high, but it could mask our signature. Cade grinned. You're learning fast. He cut the main engines. The ship drifted into the dense field of static clouds. All systems went dark except life support. The stars vanished behind the mist. In silence, the Maverick became invisible. For a minute, they floated, breath held, hearts pounding. The consortium ship cruised past, scanning. Then it turned away, fooled. The radar cleared. Raya exhaled, her shoulders dropping. They're gone. Cade smiled faintly. Human trick. When you can't win, disappear. The silence after battle was strange. The air smelled faintly of ozone. Cade leaned back, running a hand through his hair. Well, that bought us time. But they'll keep looking. Raya hesitated, then spoke softly. They want my father. His debts. And now they think you own them. Yeah, Cade said bitterly. Lucky me. She looked at him, guilt shadowing her features. I never meant for this to happen. You didn't deserve it. Cade met her eyes. Neither did you. For a while, they just sat there, listening to the hum of the ship's systems rebooting. The glow from the console lit her face, tired but determined. Finally, Cade broke the silence. There's something I need to ask. Why didn't your father just surrender to the consortium? Men like him always think they can bargain their way out. Raya's voice softened. He wasn't just desperate for money. He was desperate for me to live. The fade is getting worse. She touched her wrist, where faint silver veins shimmered under the skin. He thought one more gamble would save me. Cade's chest tightened. You're dying, aren't you? She nodded once. Slowly, but not quietly. Cerulean bodies deteriorate, but the mind stays clear. You feel yourself slipping away, piece by piece. Cade's hands clenched around the armrests. There has to be a cure. There is. But it costs more than a merchant could ever pay. The Alliance developed a treatment, but only high diplomats receive it. Cade stared out at the drifting asteroids. Then we'll find a way to get you to them. You talk like it's easy, she said softly. I don't do easy, Cade replied. Never have. The faintest smile touched her lips. Humans are strange. You fight when logic says to surrender. Yeah, Cade said with a grin. It's what keeps us interesting. Raya turned to the viewport, eyes distant. Perhaps that is why the universe needs your kind. The stars shimmered beyond the asteroid haze. Somewhere out there, the consortium regrouped. Somewhere beyond that, new Terra waited, and maybe hope with it. Cade leaned forward, tapping new coordinates into the NAV system. Next stop, Alliance space. Raya looked at him, her voice almost a whisper. You should have left me behind. He shook his head. Not my style. The Maverick's engines reignited, breaking free from the asteroid field. The stars stretched once more into long white threads. Cade didn't know what awaited them ahead. Bounty hunters, betrayal, maybe worse, but he knew one thing for certain. He was no longer flying alone. The Maverick broke through the edge of the hyperspace corridor and slid toward Alliance territory. The dark expanse of stars gave way to structured light, navigation beacons, patrol routes, and the distant shimmer of the new Terra station. Cade Harlow had been here before. It was where most of his bad ideas started, and sometimes where they ended. As the ship drifted closer, the familiar voice of Alliance control crackled through the comms. Freighter Maverick, identify yourself and declare cargo. Cade smirked. Cargo's complicated, control. Just me, one passenger, and a whole lot of trouble. A pause. Then a clipped reply. Proceed to docking bay 7. Commander Ross is expecting you. Raya looked at him, brow furrowed. You trust this man? Cade shrugged. Trust's a strong word. Let's say I owe him fewer lies than most. The Maverick touched down with a hiss of hydraulics. Alliance soldiers in gray uniforms moved like clockwork around the bay. Cade and Raya stepped down the ramp, the human pilot's boots clanging against the metal floor. The cerulean woman's steps were quieter, graceful but uncertain under so many human eyes. Commander Ross waited at the base of the ramp, broad, silver-haired, and built like a man who had never once considered retirement. His sharp gray eyes scanned Cade, then shifted to Raya. So it's true, Ross said. You won her in a bet. Cade bristled. She's not something to be won. Ross raised an eyebrow. That's not what the market contract says. It's what I say, Cade snapped. The older man studied him for a long moment before finally nodding. Still reckless. Still human. Raya stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Commander, my father's debts have entangled your pilot. We need a lawful way to dissolve this without ruining him, or my people's trade reputation. Ross folded his arms. You're well-spoken for a gambler's daughter. I was an ambassador's apprentice once, she said. Something flickered in Ross's expression. Respect, perhaps, or curiosity. Then you'll understand diplomacy. The Alliance needs an opportunity in the cerulean sector. Your father's trade network could give us that. Cade frowned. This isn't a trade negotiation, Ross. She's sick. She needs help, not politics. Ross looked at him evenly. I'm aware of the cerulean fate. Our labs have been developing a treatment. Experimental, expensive, and currently unavailable to civilians. But if you help us, I'll make sure she gets it. Raya's eyes widened. Help you how? Ross activated a hologram. A map of star systems spun above the table, lines of red indicating the consortium's territory. The Vex Consortium is hosting a summit on Nexus Prime. All their leadership will be there. If we can infiltrate and expose their dealings, we can cripple them legally and financially. We have the agents, but we need a distraction. Cade groaned. And that's where we come in. Ross smiled thinly. Exactly. You and your passenger are already marked. Every bounty hunter in 3 sectors wants you. If you fly close enough to Nexus Prime, they'll follow. You draw attention. We sneak in the back door. That's suicide, Cade said flatly. Possibly, Ross agreed. But it's also justice. Silence hung between them. The hum of the docking bay filled the space where reason should have spoken. Cade's mind raced. He wanted to refuse, to walk away, to take Raya far from all of this. But the thought of her dying while a cure sat locked behind bureaucracy made his throat tighten. Raya stepped closer to the hologram. her blue fingers hovering above the red lines. "If this plan succeeds," she said slowly, "my father's debt is erased." Ross nodded. "The consortium's accounts will be seized." His name cleared. "Yours too." She turned to Cade. "Then we should do it." Cade blinked. "Raya, this isn't your fight." Her gaze was steady. "It became mine the moment your people showed me mercy." Ross watched the exchange quietly, then said, "You'll have 12 hours to prepare. The Alliance will fit your ship with stealth coding and signal scramblers. Once you enter the sector, you'll be alone. No backup until it's over." "Just the way I like it," Cade muttered, though his stomach twisted. As they left the command deck, the echo of their footsteps faded into the metallic corridors. Cade finally spoke. "You sure about this? Once we start, there's no turning back." Raya looked at him, the faint glow of her skin catching the dim light. "You humans have a saying, don't you? Fortune favors the bold." He smiled grimly. "We also have one that says curiosity killed the cat." "Then it's a good thing," she replied softly, "that I'm not a cat." For the first time since Proxima Station, Cade laughed, a rough, honest sound. "All right then, Ambassador. Let's make the galaxy regret betting against us." Outside the viewport, the stars of Nexus Prime burned like cold fire. The hunt was beginning again, but this time, they weren't running. They were setting the trap. The Maverick floated in the shadow of a refueling platform at the edge of Alliance space, silent as a ghost. The final modifications had been made. New signal scramblers, false transponders, and a stealth coating that shimmered faintly in the dark. To any scanner, they would look like a scrap freighter limping toward nowhere. Cade Harlow stood in the narrow corridor of his ship, tightening a bolt on the navigation panel that didn't really need tightening. He wasn't fixing the ship, he was fixing his nerves. Behind him, he heard the soft rhythm of footsteps and knew who it was before she spoke. "You've been doing that for 20 minutes, Raya said gently. He turned, wiping grease from his hands. "Helps me think." "Helps you worry," she corrected. Her expression was calm, but her eyes betrayed the same tension twisting in his chest. "You're afraid of the mission." "I'm afraid of failing it," Cade said. "You get caught, you die? I get caught, I die slower." She tilted her head. Humans hide fear with humor. Ceruleans hide it with silence. Both are ways to stay strong. Cade grinned weakly. "Yeah, well, I'm running out of jokes." They sat across from each other in the small galley, the hum of the ship filling the pauses between words. Raya toyed with a datapad showing the infiltration plan, red marks, coded routes, the flashing icon of Nexus Prime. Ross's plan was clear but deadly. Cade and Raya would fly close to the planet, pretending to deliver illegal cargo. The consortium's patrols would move to intercept, drawing their main fleet outward. Meanwhile, an Alliance stealth team would slip inside the summit and hack into the leadership's database. Once they had proof of crimes, the Alliance would broadcast it across every channel in the sector. "Simple," Cade muttered. "Just distract a criminal empire for a few hours." Raya's lips curved in a faint smile. "You humans have an odd definition of simple." When the countdown timer hit 0, Cade's heart matched its rhythm. The Maverick slipped free of the platform's shadow and entered the dark between stars. Ahead, Nexus Prime gleamed, a colossal city world wreathed in electric storms. Even from light years away, it looked like a predator coiled for the kill. "Here we go," Cade murmured. Within minutes, the first pings lit the radar, consortium scouts. Small, fast, and armed. They moved in formation, approaching like a pack of wolves. "Do we run?" Raya asked. Cade shook his head. "Not yet. Let them think they've cornered us." The radio crackled, a harsh alien voice breaking through. "Unregistered vessel. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Cade smirked. "Yeah, that's not happening." He killed the comms and slammed the throttle. The Maverick surged forward, engines howling. Lasers carved through the black. Shields flared and dimmed. Raya gripped the console. "They're faster. Then we make them slower." Cade's fingers danced over the controls. He flipped open a red switch cover labeled EMP Pulse. "Do not use." He hit it anyway. A wave of static rippled outward, blue and violent. The pursuing ships faltered, their lights flickering. Two spun out of formation, colliding in a bright flash. The rest scattered. "Nice trick," Raya said, impressed. "Old smuggler's trick," Cade replied. "Just needed the right audience." For a moment, they had space to breathe, but the reprieve didn't last. The planet's defense grid activated, hundreds of automated turrets locking onto them. Nexus Prime itself was waking up. Raya leaned closer, her hands flying across the NAV console. There's a storm front on the northern hemisphere, electromagnetic interference. If we hide in it, they might lose our signal. Cade stared at the readings. That storm's tearing up the atmosphere. Do you have a better idea? He laughed, even as the alarm screamed. I never do. The Maverick Dove. Lightning danced around them, violent and beautiful. The ship trembled under the pressure. Energy bolts from the defense grid crackled past, but the storm scattered their aim. Inside the cockpit, sparks flew from an overloaded circuit. Cade cursed and slammed a fist against the console. Hold together, girl, he shouted at the ship. Raya's voice cut through the chaos. We're almost invisible to scanners now. Good, Cade said, fighting the controls. Because I think we just disappeared from everyone, including ourselves. For several long minutes, they rode the storm. Rain of plasma streaked across the viewport, thunder rippled through space, and for the first time, Cade thought he saw fear in Raya's usually calm eyes. Then, silence. The storm broke. Behind them, the pursuit signals vanished. Ahead lay the dark curve of Nexus Prime's shadow. They'd made it. Against all odds, the human pilot and the alien woman had outrun death again. Cade leaned back, laughing shakily. You still think humans talk too much when they're afraid? Raya smiled, eyes glowing faintly. Yes, but I find it comforting. The ship drifted toward the far side of the planet, where the Alliance team's coordinates waited. Cade exhaled, tension draining from his shoulders. Now, he said, voice steady once more. Let's give the consortium a reason to regret crossing humanity. Outside, the lightning faded, replaced by the cold, sharp stars of war. The Maverick hung in the shadow of Nexus Prime, its hull blackened by storm burns and static charge. The great city world turned slowly beneath them, oceans of light glowing through layers of cloud and pollution. It looked peaceful from orbit, but Cade Harlow knew better. Down there, entire empires traded blood for profit. In the cockpit, the air felt too still. Cade's hands hovered over the controls, ready for anything. Raya sat beside him, eyes flicking between scanners and the comms feed. Alliance team reports they're in position, she said quietly. They're starting the data extraction. Good, Cade replied. Let's make sure every gun in the sector is pointed at us, just like the good commander wanted. He keyed a few switches, and the Maverick stealth signature flickered off. Suddenly, their ship blazed like a flare on enemy radar. Every consortium sensor on the planet would see them now. Raya's voice was calm, but her pulse quickened. You realize this means we'll have the full force of their patrols within minutes. Cade flashed a grin. That's the plan. We just have to stay alive long enough to make it worth their while. The first alert came almost instantly. Half a dozen fighters lifting from the upper atmosphere, engines glowing red. Then two larger vessels detached from orbital docks. The consortium wasn't wasting time. Here they come, Cade said, tightening his harness. The fighters swarmed like insects, firing plasma bursts that lit up the void. The Maverick Dove, engines roaring. Cade twisted the ship through a field of drifting satellites, using their wreckage as cover. Laser fire tore past, so close it scorched the hull plating. Raya gripped the co-pilot controls, guiding the navigation feed. Angle 49 degrees port. There's a debris tunnel ahead. Cade followed her lead, rolling hard. The Maverick sliced through the wreckage of an old cargo line. Explosions rippled behind them, fragments of metal and fire scattering through the dark. One of the consortium's frigates fired a missile lock. Warning tones filled the cockpit. Cade cursed, pulling up fast. We can't outrun that. Raya's eyes narrowed. Then let it chase us. She slammed a sequence on the console, venting heat flares from the rear thrusters. The missile curved after them, straight into a floating fuel tank drifting in the debris. The detonation lit up the sky, shockwaves hammering the Maverick. Cade hooped, exhilarated. You're getting good at this. Raya smiled faintly. I learned from the best. Or the most reckless. Then the comms crackled. Ross's voice came through, rough and urgent. Harlow, they've taken the bait. The main defense grid is focused on your position. Our team's inside the summit. Keep those ships busy. Copy that, Cade said. We'll try not to die before you finish. The next hour felt endless. Every time Cade thought they'd shaken pursuit, more ships appeared. He flew by instinct, skimming orbital towers and diving into storm bands. Twice the shields overloaded, twice Raya rerouted power just in time. The Maverick groaned like a living thing fighting to stay alive. Suddenly, the sensors flashed green, Alliance uplink secured. The mission had succeeded. Ross's voice returned, clipped but triumphant. We've got the files. Consortium accounts exposed. Broadcast is live. Every news net from here to Seoul is burning with it. Through the viewport, Cade saw it. Thousands of lights blooming across the planet as transmissions leaked. Systems shutting down. Chaos spreading. The consortium's power was collapsing in real time. But victory had its price. The surviving frigate fired one last desperate volley. Plasma bolts smashed into the Maverick's flank. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. The ship spun, alarms screaming. Cade, Raya shouted, bracing herself. Stabilizers offline. He gritted his teeth, fighting the controls. Hold on. The Maverick plunged toward the planet's upper atmosphere, metal shaking under the strain. Flames licked the windows as they re-entered the storm layer. The hull rattled, shrieking in protest. Raya crawled to the secondary console, rerouting power with trembling hands. We're burning up. Not yet, Cade barked, slamming a manual override. The engines coughed, caught, and roared back to life. Slowly, the spin eased. The ship leveled out, smoke filling the cabin. When the noise faded, they were alive, battered, bruised, but alive. Below them, Nexus Prime flickered like a dying sun. The consortium's fleet was breaking apart, retreating in chaos. Cade leaned back in his seat, sweat dripping down his face. Tell Ross we did our part. Raya's voice was soft, trembling but proud. You did more than that. You gave them hope. He turned to her. We both did. Outside the viewport, the storm clouds glowed orange from the fires of a fallen empire. Somewhere in that chaos, a new beginning waited. For her people, for the Alliance, maybe even for them. Raya reached across the console, her blue fingers brushing his hand. What now? Cade smiled tiredly. Now? We disappear again. Let the galaxy argue about how humans pulled it off. The Maverick rose slowly through the smoke, vanishing into the upper dark, leaving behind a world forever changed. The Maverick limped through the quiet stretch of space beyond Nexus Prime, its hull scorched and patched by emergency repairs. Inside, the smell of smoke still lingered, but the silence was different now. No alarms, no gunfire, just the soft hum of survival. Cade Harlow sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the infinite dark ahead. He could still feel the vibration of the last battle under his skin, a ghost echo of adrenaline that refused to fade. Behind him, soft footsteps approached. You haven't rested, Raya said, her voice low and melodic. He didn't look back. I sleep better when the galaxy isn't trying to kill me. She smiled faintly. That may never happen, human. Cade turned then, seeing her in the dim light. Her once perfect cerulean robes were torn and soot-stained, but her eyes still held that calm glow, stronger now, freer somehow. How are you feeling? He asked. The treatment is working, she said. Commander Ross kept his word. The Alliance has already begun the medical trials. My body feels alive again. She paused, searching for words. But I fear the part of me that is bound to you might never heal. Cade frowned. Bound. The thread of fate, she explained softly. You saved my life twice, once at Proxima, once at Nexus. Our destinies are now woven together. When I breathe, I feel part of your story. He tried to joke it away. Sounds complicated. It is, she admitted, stepping closer. But it's real. They stood there for a long moment, the stars flickering across her face. Outside, the wreckage of the consortium's fleet floated like frozen ghosts. The Alliance had already begun cleanup operations, rounding up what was left of the syndicate. Every news feed in the sector now carried the same headline. Human pilot exposes galactic cartel. Cade hated that headline. He didn't want fame. He just wanted quiet. But quiet never lasted. The ship's console blinked, an incoming message. Commander Ross's voice filled the cabin. Harlow, the broadcast has gone viral. The consortium's accounts are frozen, their leaders scattered. You did it. Cade leaned back, exhausted. We did it, Commander. I had help. Ross's tone softened. So I heard. You've earned some downtime. The Alliance is offering you both a place on New Terra, full citizenship, Clean records. Kate glanced at Raya. Her eyes shimmered, hopeful yet uncertain. That's generous, he said. But the Maverick's not built for retirement. Ross chuckled dryly. Didn't think you'd say yes. Still, be careful, Harlow. You made enemies powerful enough to wait a lifetime for revenge. The transmission ended. Raya looked at him. You mean to keep flying? Someone has to, Kate said. There's always another fight, another fool betting with lives he can't afford to lose. She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the faint coolness of her skin. Then I will fly with you, wherever that thread leads. Kate met her gaze. You sure? It won't be easy. Raya smiled, a real, fearless smile. Nothing worth doing ever is. Besides, I like how your chaos feels. He laughed quietly, shaking his head. You're getting too human. Maybe you're getting too cerulean, she replied. They both looked through the viewport as the stars drifted by, a sea of endless possibilities. The galaxy felt wide again, dangerous and alive. Somewhere beyond those stars, new empires would rise, and new gamblers would make the same mistakes. But maybe, just maybe, the story would be different this time. Cade reached for the throttle, hands steady now. All right then, partner, he said. Let's see where fate wants to take us next. The engines roared to life. Blue light filled the cockpit. The Maverick turned toward the horizon and leapt forward, streaking into hyperspace. Two souls.